It's recording, so we're ready. Oh.
Yeah, because pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Marcy. Give a roll call, please. Here.
Ben?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
John? Jim?
Here. Awesome, thank you. I'll need a motion to approve the agenda for this week. The agenda? Brian, aye. Jim, aye. Carries. I'll now open up the floor for citizen comment, for anyone who'd like to address the council, based on anything on the agenda. I just see you on. I'll go ahead and close the citizen comment on that item. I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda if there are no questions.
Chief, I just want to ask about Casey's tobacco
Yeah.
products.
I was waiting for it. Yeah.
Really good.
Mixed tech is so new that I'm no issues with that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion for the consent agenda.
All that. Yeah, then Ryan, Jim, aye. Carries. Next up, we have Stacy with and Rick.
I don't really have anything more than that for them. Let's say, I hope you guys have questions.
The park, nights for what's fantastic. Do we have any ETA yet, or is it still pretty far out there?
Okay, so I think our ETA is going to rely on when it's supposed to be finished.
Building itself.
For the building itself, probably some of the next things. The walking path trail, so we're not opening it up this spring. So we're not gonna let you know, our board is working on the contract and through it in depth last week, so we kind of iron out some things, and then we kind of open it in, hopefully a lot for next year. We're still to reach out to the contractor once we have it ready. That has expressed interest in.
And if the parking lot center was done in time for Peosta days, we could theoretically do some sort of an opening event so the community could see it.
Absolutely, I think we'll talk about that more, but, yeah, maybe some of my. That whatever, so yeah, that would be something. I just kind of know more of the timeline.
Great.
Everything will be finished.
Any other questions for Stacy? Thanks, Stacy. Next up, Chief.
Yeah, I'd just like to give some shout outs to, for the bike rodeo that we had. Without the businesses that donated, we wouldn't have the success with their donations. They're the ones that basically helped put this on. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Berry Plastics, Peosta Dental, Pro Pulse, Fidelity Bank, Colony Brands, Mighty M, Michelin, Dartford, First Gear, and Peosta Optimus. Well, they're the ones that supported us, helped us out with that event. Without them, we just couldn't do the event. So it's very much appreciated for all those businesses. I did send out thank yous to all. So the other thing, the cones for cops, I think we went over this on Wednesday. The one thing again, shout out to Dairy Queen for allowing that to happen. It's fantastic that they're allowing us to get those donated vouchers, and very, very appreciative of that also. And one more, without Run Parades, our department helped us out. Without them, again, we wouldn't be able to do it by ourselves without the fire department. So I appreciate their help on that. For the officer hiring position, I had 2 interviews today, and they went well. Hopefully by next, hoping to hear back an individual, and hopefully by next meeting we'll have something. Other than that, I got. So you guys have.
I'm sure that list of offers with Sean, you have like in the.
I will, yes. Yes. And so like during the event, I also had a big display up there with names and everything. So I will gladly.
Yeah, it's just a great idea. So the rest of the city seems.
Yes.
what's happening and that we have.
We can share that with, PDCA too, so they can do a social media promotion.
Yeah.
Thing.
Again, without them, I can't do it, so it's great. Great support we have.
It's really nice to see the support of the services and teamwork between the community, fire, everyone. It's just kind of, just good to see everyone.
Yeah. We mesh well together, everybody does, so great.
And Chief, in terms of getting ready for Rag coming through Centralia on 25th of July.
Yeah.
Will it be supplementing the sheriff's department?
Yeah, so it's more gonna be more sheriff's office handling scenario. Eric's gonna be on, I'll be on to help that morning with anything, with anybody coming in town. I think we'll should be able to do it. I don't think it's all hands on deck for it as right now. My understanding, we're just gonna get some traffic, not all traffic. Right, I mean, because there's gonna be a drop off. Correct. Yeah, that's the only thing I really know. Everything else is gonna be done out at Centralia. They need us for anything, we're gonna be there to help out, but it's just gonna be us two, and I think we should. Unless something changes where there might be more traffic in town, then. Yeah,
I think our biggest impact is we keep trying to get out of the stuff.
possibly. Yeah. Right.
Well, Stacy, we're using the parking lot here to state volunteers out in Centralia, or I heard that.
So I, yeah, a couple people that wanted to volunteer, what I suggested is they use our city hall parking lot above. You know, they're talking like a couple cars, like 5 cars or whatever, that, like during that time, they would have a transport vehicle bringing them to and from shuttle, essentially. So I'm like, they can either park at our police department garage or at or up at city hall, is what I told them.
Okay.
Right.
I think Small Town Dreams has been working with Centralia to do something, some of our things, as far as that kind of stuff. I know that would be, I would probably go for.
Continues to really hot out of it.
Yeah.
Working with.
Very good.
Nice job on the grant that you got.
Yeah, we're so, I think it's great.
It was good.
Yep.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Next up, we've got Public Works. Dean, you're up.
Sure, I just wanted to make mention about the outage that we had on Sunday. Here's that it was a transformer again up here. I don't know, I feel that our outages that we're experiencing are more frequent. And I've reached out to Alliant and expressed my feelings on that. I'm hoping to get an answer so that they can give us a blog. I kind of talked to Josh a little bit about it as well. So I'm hoping to get a log back on and maybe an explanation on why this is happening. We maybe don't necessarily experience as much here in the residential areas, but it seems like it's more frequent down in the industrial area. And then I feel like the last year has been getting pretty excessive.
How frequently are you thinking industrial parks get going?
Well, I mean, we have this one, it wasn't just, but 2.5, 3 weeks ago that transformer blew up there. For one of the warehouses up there. Just random items that take place with maybe what's not just so I don't know, maybe it's just my feelings on it, but it just seems like it's very more often. But I want to get some answers from them. Transformers.
Breaker.
Right. But you know, when it's in that location, it affects our wells, our wastewater plant, our lift station, areas like that. So that's my concern on.
I heard it's the wastewater facility a little bit. I appreciate you and you guys that if nobody has before, definitely should.
And this was just an Alliant outage, right? That's on Mississippi Valley.
Correct. Never affected.
Part of
Compliance on So
Who do you call it? I'm like, do you have a contact?
I do have a contact, but I'm not being very successful at getting hold of him. But I did have another gal from Clinton that sounds like she's an area rep that she actually called me back. So
I guess that Josh was going back to those meetings that I was talking about when we were down Friday. The guy Mark from Black Hills.
Yes.
There is somebody who comes from Alliant. I don't have any Okay, but maybe even Marcy kind of look back through or contact Jason at GDP, get that contact, you know, so Steve's not having any success. Got another
Percolation point.
I actually do now, or have multiples, and then, like I say, another gal got back to me, said she's a good rep, so,
Okay.
I have her contact now, which is helpful now.
Yeah, okay, great.
We can take a look.
Well,
It seems like more folks can.
Yeah, it seems like they have position changes. I keep tracking. Other than that, I guess anything on the, items that, I've had on the agenda? On the, report?
That station that, yeah, on the same one.
Correct, every month. Yeah,
Only one time.
yeah, last couple of months have been one time only, so, yeah. We might make up for this month, I don't know. We're definitely, I'm afraid we're definitely gonna experience more frequent when, right? So,
What's the solution?
looking at different pumps, better grinders. But, right now, I think, anything more than that, I think is, just a remodification of the lift.
Anything else for you?
Well, no, I didn't want hardways. So
Yep.
we never had.
Well, if you don't, have we ever had to in the past?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, we tried to stay out.
24. Remember,
Yeah.
or if it's just getting utilized that much.
I would say probably less this year than what has been in the past. So, and now probably with the rains up here. Yeah. Brian's putting, have we tried to see and how through the summer get grind once a year. But, I'm really curious, I'm sure that's good. Maybe, my end.
Very much. Well, thank you. Right. So. Thanks for making time for it. So we got a handful of projects going on, pretty well aware of, I think we've been briefly, we got some movement on a few things. Actually, I'll say most things. Number one, we have a meeting today, with Amy, Marcy, Josh, so Steve, Jacob, and Maggie. Discussed a lot of the projects, funding implications, I'll occur, discuss most of that. It was a really good meeting, a lot of good discussion. No particular order, the plats that, you got a resolution on a little bit later. They got rejected by the council a couple of times. This is for the vacation easements and then the Iowa Street.
Agency.
Yeah. Sent them into the council to record them. We rejected them, so we made some changes and put them again, and then for survey, it looks like based on county ordinance, or whatever rules they have. They require a lot of signatures, so we're gonna have to get signatures from the recorder, the auditor, and from city clerk. Then another statement basically reiterating everything the plats already say, again signed by the city clerk, and then they will accept. So not, our surveyor, he says that he thinks this is more suited to a subdivision plan. But that's the rules for county, so that's what. So the drawings themselves are not. Correct, the drawings are fine, it's just the signatures, so we'll get those. All right, talk to Marcy a little bit on this. We think that you could have a public hearing and vote on it, right? It's the transfer is gonna end. And, once that gets recorded, which I would expect that to be this week or the next week, then we can get the county, this big work done, and then I would expect by the 23rd. We actually Green mass. Everything associated, those may get that projects done. That's where we stand on that today. Capital lift station. Yes, discussing for the top grade, we did a bunch of job drawings, so we know the process is. Yes. We have funding.
Can I ask a question on that? Because
Yeah.
later on the agenda, we have what's a change order, but it's $0 change order, so it's just a technicality about taking our wage laws.
Yeah.
Whether or not they were.
Yes, yeah, I use one fund ends. You'll have to get in all of these, rates, all that fun stuff, but I use sewer and water treatment plant wage rates, should, on the highway. So,
Okay.
that's on it. I haven't talked top rate has had any issues, they've said, well, that's what they use, anyway.
Okay.
Would-
That's why they're bid compliant anyway, we're gonna have to change the language.
with them. So if we're getting on to issue their, there was. Okay, so all this is doing is swapping out. So that's what. Then, so you approve, get that, vote on, assuming we approve tonight, then I can get everything. For that, that's kind of next project. Then also been in touch with top grade, we'll talk with email this as well. We'll have another change order present for the 23rd. They would like to do structures a little bit differently. They do precast, don't have to place. This is their request because you don't have to do that. Based on the conversation so far, this is with the E-dubs. Listed at $6,000 E-dubs. Excellent. And I think it'll be a better product. It would more waterproof, more structures. So, look at that, yeah. So, thank you. Questions on, yeah, of course. Highway 20 project, got that into 14. I did that work session last week. That got in either Thursday or Friday. I think it's fine. Confirmation from Dylan or your pass that to his team. And I would expect 4 weeks. That's what they told me to get done. 4 weeks for their review. Soon there will be major comments. But any minor things they have, we'll get those incorporated. So I'm going to assume that public hearings, which is about a month after we sent application is indicating our hope was that it took 5 for a bid date. Month off. That's any issue. It's fine. Get that done this
And then remind me what our bid process will be, a couple weeks for them to respond to bids. Or roughly a month for us to get bid responses and act on.
year. Yep, they're not.
Okay, so we'll work on it potentially in September sometime.
Yes, so we got them in early July for that's that. Then we'll open bids early August. Late August. It may be a little warm. Admittedly, August or being posted.
And in your experience, is this the kind of thing that they can do construction on deep into the fall?
I will say just pretty, yeah, this is a pretty small project.
I've just been telling people that they, we should expect the change to be made yet this year. So if we need to change that message, I want to change it.
I don't think that needs to change. It's always been at least after the muscles. Inflation, they won't get this.
Right. I think it'll take too long to start the work. It's not a complex project.
Are we expressing the calendar year 26 deadline on that project? Or one and all?
I don't know. I don't recall what the completion date was. We might give it until the spring for seeing to just that allow it to be kind of that's what I think we like to do.
Yeah, but they can-
Just a temporary seating, November, December, but so to take us. But the substantial even done.
Yeah, because paving is useful, yeah, in the winter, that's gonna help us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is just the water projects. We have had good movements on that. We discussed that today, that good direction on everything we do, so we're, March will run the design on that again. And the next critical date with this is early October, that's the problem, it's on the ID, on the entire piece plan with DNR, and what that means is they allocate money for it, and we move forward with it. So in the late fall, early winter, I expect one or more of these projects to go out bid. As a reminder, we've got tower, the well house, and the water main, that's back in Keys. So they're probably 4 separate projects, 4 separate things. They're very different projects. So that's where they're. In some order on that, we'll get everything done. Anything else I want to talk about? Okay. That touches on the active projects. Any questions on any of that or anything in the resolution later on?
So it's the next, I do have a question. Who asked that? Our next step related to cap drives would be to figure out our funding approach. And then after that, then we can start getting specific on the project.
Yes. Yeah, I think Maggie, you're intending to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, drive is really on us. Real honest. That and then the design of the change. Under that all, it's tied together. Those five. How does one roll in?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you.
You don't have any recommendations? No. Mayor's report? Which.
All right. Everyone, I'm Maggie Berger with Sphere Financial. Just as we were talking a moment ago with engineering. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of these projects. I'm the money person. Started with the last question. Have that been running. So our next step for that is application, construction loan application, the SRF. That SRF program will do that. That SRF program right now, the interest rate is 3.25%. I would assume that by the time this loan closes, you will be in the new fiscal year quarter. The interest rate for the SRF program does change quarterly until the closing date is locked in for the next 20 years. That will be a sewer debt, so it will not count against the city's debt capacity. So that's a really important thing to note, but it will need to be payable by the sewer revenues of the system, right? So that means you're taking in revenues based on your sales, based on water usage, basically, and then your operating and maintenance, your debt, any other debt that's outstanding, etc. Meeting the SRF requirement is a 110 coverage factor, which simply means that my payment is $100,000 in debt, I must bring in $110,000 in net. So revenues minus expenses must be 110. There's not a net person. People say, well, why is there going to be question? Oh, in the past, if you have a natural disaster and 30 homes disappear, those 30 homes you probably have water. And you have budgeted to make debt payments and based on revenue that they are no longer paying. So there's got to be this cushion. It's just like I can't walk into I'm a teenager and say, good job, and it pays me $200 a month. And I look at car loan that costs me $200 a month, and the car goes to me. So that's in process from our perspective. What you're going to see next likely will be we will put together a construction loan application. I asked a bunch of questions that we have to do, and I have the answers for you. So that was fantastic. We just get that construction loan application. together. Your city administration can sign that up without your needing to take action on it. Help keep the process moving. The action that you will take will be seconded to public hearings on legal. Holding the public hearing, which will all come from entering into the loan agreement. So all of that will be things that come across your desk for all. But we just keep that process moving. So we believe, based on some sewer analysis that we did in the past, that you had already started with your prior municipal advisor, and we reviewed that. We believe that the rates are in place pretty sufficient on the sewer side for this project. So we will definitely be, again, we have to address that when we go to the answer. Okay, so that is that project. So I'm gonna then talk, I'm gonna keep going down on my list here. Water system improvement. So again, based on our conversation today, we know that it'll be early fall when you're on the intended use plan, that IP, which means it could go out to letting at that point in time. Right now, you have used your rates, or your rates are set to increase on July 1st of 2026. They're set to increase on July 1st of 2027, and then 28 and 29 as well. Those first two increases are 12% and then 15% next year. And that is based on a borrowing size project at approximately $6. Now, with those 4 projects that you're in, I do point out, have a federal appropriation money of about 1.5 million. So altogether, these projects are over $6 million, but we have that. And that money kind of ties out to what is, we'll call it, I don't want to say this, but the tower itself is probably in that $6 million range. The other projects are somewhere probably in that $1.5 million. Now, the appropriations will get spent on those, and it'll probably be, the appropriation will likely get spent on whatever projects kind of pop up first. Because usually when there's appropriation of grant money, they want those funds spent as quickly as possible. We do have a contact now from the city to talk about that appropriation with Ashley Henson's representative. So we'll be getting some details on what it looks like. Our intention is again to get a program. We intend, that application could be probably in by late fall, we'll say. Again, subject to the quarter that we're in. I believe the quarter interest rate today, 5, is slightly higher than it was last quarter. We had a rough March. The economy had a rough March, and there's a valuation. There's a bond fund that they use. Discount that bond fund over the month of March. The month of March was a rough month, and the bond was stacked market. So I anticipate that interest rate of 3.25. We're going to be very steady, probably the next calendar year. Is what I'm anticipating from the SRF program. So we'll keep you guys informed. That'll go through the same process though. Once that planning has occurred, we will prepare that pro forma. We will prepare the loan application. So everyone knows the SRF is a monthly draw program. Not been a council we've done project. It is a month, or it is a draw. You're probably going to get draw requests from the on both the lift station and the throwing those in, and the reimbursement from the other is days. It's 3 or 4 days. If you meet on a Monday night or Tuesday night, on that, it is. So that is good. There's no interim plan. Yes, program, which is very good. So these questions about their sewer or the water project.
For SRF, we're already approved for that, or we have to go through this process to get approved?
Yeah, so on the lift, so the lift station, you're at what's called the intended use plan. And that is the authority given to you by the DNR. Once you're on the intended plan, it's a go. You just have to go out and bid the project to match the scope of the project that DNR you were going to do. Right? You can't change the scope. It's like we were going to build a water tower at the water tower. We're going to do something. The intended use plan basically authorizes you the fund, to be able to borrow. We've been a little bit higher than what the intended use plan was, that's okay. The extra plenty of money, they are not with their loan program in the fact that as long as it is improving water quality, improving existing old infrastructure, things like that, you absolutely are called to get approved. Especially because you've got good engineers who are engineering projects that have done that for years. They know what they're needing, interested, how that all needs to happen. The SRF program started off at $100 million of borrowing authority up to cities across Iowa. We are $2 billion of borrowing authority. There's plenty of cash there for borrowing. We used to have to get approval to send in like $43 million loan application. We just sent in a $43 million application. But yep, $1 million. If you want to know the truth, one little like sidebar here. Every dollar that you pay the SRF interest goes into the funding pool for the borrow. You have an origination fee. It's a 0.5% upfront, and then it's a 0.25% Those two represent every dollar that they use to fund the program operation, like paying the salaries of those people, technology, all that. So dollar that you pay back at principal and interest is going back into the fund.
Once we lock in the SRF rate for this series of 3 or 4 projects, it's locked for the life of the borrowing.
Correct. And the SRF life is 20 years.
Okay.
If you go up to 25 or 30 years, there's an extended term worksheet that the engineer prepares. Usually on water, but I will tell you your interest accrual at that 20 to 30 year time frame just kind of grows. Potentially just added on that 10 years. So we try to keep them in 20 years if we can. We goal there at that for the next month. In 15 or 20 years, I have to make a decision to do another project. One thing about the water project is on the tower itself, I think the intention of this for that is longer than what the SRF will fund. For population now is choose to build a tower to what they want to do. They want to say this portion of the tower has to be funded outside. RC and I are not the experts here. It's like tower versus there, like the tower, all the schematics of the tower there. If you make that tower bigger, the extra base, we're not going to fund it. Often in the instances that we've seen this, it's 200,000 to 300,000, 400,000. So in that situation, the SRF, internal loan, how much cash internally that you can turn around and put on.
I can't allocate the congressional appropriation to that gap.
You might be able to, right? So we're that for all the questions that are going to come along. I think that you probably can get to that gap. So again, it just then ends up. They don't fund growth. They fund maintenance and what you are today. They're never going to run pipes and water lines and fund that because that's not, their whole mission, repair, replacement, improving water quality from what's there existing.
And that is the plan, bigger.
That's somewhat your call. I think that even proposing 100,000, talent, I think that would 300,000 would also serve you pretty well. But the current plan we have is to bid both together. So we have the base bid is 300, the alternate 500. With that, the actual delta is making the final decision. Yeah, we're going to continue to grow. I don't see that. operate here. So we
Yeah, we've got two other ones that will be prepared probably the next.
that's-
Just one other thing, 0.25%, just want to point this out in case people start to question water rate. That's $5.6 million borrowing, is within your packet over 20 years, about 413,000. So I just want that to be, that is for everyone, that's 413,000 of money that you're not paying. That's part of the reason that. Work that's right. Just a little bit more. Again, I think we said 12 and 50%. Okay, we'll continue to work. With the water. Or any other things that you want. Okay, so let's talk then probably next about. This is more of a general application discussion. In your packet, we did include a debt capacity sheet. I am going to run through that and that Peosta here at the very top of that. Basically, every city has debt capacity to issue how obligation debt is. The debt capacity of the city is 5% at 100%. Not your taxable, but 1%. So the city as a July will be valued at 450 million. In the city that's going to carry value. So remember, churches, schools, public colleges, things that are in that nonprofit or public agency realm are not going to carry valuation. The likely your valuation is higher than that. All those facilities built for anything. They are not. So 5% of that number is your total debt capacity, 22,912,000. Currently outstanding between your general obligation 2017, your 2021 A bonds, and your 2023 A bonds, you'll have 7,405,000. We only have to count the principal that remains. So this is after June 1st payments were made. That leaves you a remaining debt capacity of about 15,500,000. An important number. And then the size after what we borrow for. We did some research and just you do have those three bonds out. Only a portion of those bonds is paid back with debt. The issuance of chapter 117 is going to pay back here in 2028. So you're going to get a final payment. Unfortunately, that bond only has 7% of debt service. So about 7% of the payment every year is debt. Not a very large payment. It's up around $200,000 a year. So that doesn't go up. It's not really a lot. The rest is likely, yeah, possibly could be water, or it could be a little. But if I go look at my, yeah. Yeah. So we then have in front of you or in your packet first PDF, and it has an $8 million on it. It's a GO. It's from 2027. Our proposal would be that if the city issues, we'll say approximately $8 million, more information from the engineer, more final information. And the engineer said, you know, get this project moving forward, then we all can work together on kind of what. In our discussion today, we anticipate that likely some, if not all of this, would be financed as general obligation. So first of all, let's talk about $8 million, $15 million debt, right? We have the capacity. And when we say that, we want you to know that you have the, whether or not you're comfortable with how that funding mechanism looks like. We have talked about this. There is likely water, sewer, and stormwater in this tap drive project. So it would be our suggestion that as we move forward and discuss it, we not only look at a debt service levy, but we look at the funding model that we could possibly use a little local option sales tax. We had a conversation that you could use about $100,000 of local option sales tax to fund something else for these last few years. We believe that here is using that, so that would be something that, if 100,000 frees up, that's $100,000 you could use towards the debt payment. That reduces the property tax. We also water, sewer, and stormwater. You ultimately could use the water, sewer, and stormwater. That discussion then revolves around where the water tower project, where does the lift station project come in, and if there is left funds to be using annually, so keeping and maintaining that coverage factor. And it's my understanding that the city does not have a storm water utility at this point in time. We had a nice conversation. He let us into some really great insight as to what they have done and what. Prior to him coming here, it would be our suggestion that have a serious conversation about stormwater utility. And I know that everyone's saying, well, that's just adding fees. The legislature has done a lot on your hands and to get as much in your general fund as we used to, and probably make up for that, yes. So that is a conversation that I know you're in good hands with after. It was an excellent conversation.
Just a question, maybe it's for our city staff about redirecting local option sales tax. The last few years, we've been putting it toward parks.
Yes,
For Kelly.
specifically previous to that, I think Kelly was 5 or 6 years, and previous to that, we used it for the police stations. So this is our last year of obligation.
Yeah, I think the discussion we'll have to have is, do we want to continue to fund parks at an accelerated rate? Or something?
But keeping in mind that we also increased franchise fees, and that was kind of what we were going to kind of earmark that more for.
That got over the hump for Elliot.
So yeah, definitely discussion is something that we will cover.
So we just want to point out, Cap Drive, I don't want to say that it's all 8 million. This guy, in this, we've given you at least 3 that says 8 million, what the impact? 8 million minus 100 a year, like local option or other rent. And then 8 million minus $250,000 a year. And we're trying to figure out what those other funding sources look like of this Cap Drive project. I mean, ultimately, the two, just so you can look at them on your own, ultimately the green and the blue, which are the 2 far right columns. Those are what the tax levy impact could be. On page 1 there at 15 years, at $8 million without any revenue in red there in the center, you're looking at an impact of about $2.60 in debt service levy now. And in the discussion with Marcy, you have moved some things around internally with your, let's say, levies in the past year or two, and put a little bit more into benefits so that your levy does not get down. I'm trying to think that levy is. So
It also did not go up.
it also does not go up. It's not go up. So now, unfortunately, might be the time that it has to move, but again, because just a little bit of movement with those other levies, there's some that can be absorbed within that, right? Because if you can back talk a little bit, your general fund extra benefits, and then that will really give you some for this levy. It's the blue columns, the green column is the impact on the debt. The blue column is the impact on the $100,000. What the annual tax impact is. This is a requirement of the government or the state's $100,000 impact is. That just means that if you're living in a $300,000 house, you're going to take that.
So maybe one question on that. That's all property that's valued. So that would be industrial and business properties as well. Per 100,000.
But we only show the 100,000 on residential in the state center. Now, we can run you, because remember, residential is going to pay the lowest amount of property taxes, commercial and industrial, 3% of their value, residential, 44%. Yes. So the impact would be steeper within a commercial or industrial, and that's just because their tax rate is going to be steep, or their tax.
So we can articulate the impact of different segments of our.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So, again, the whole goal here is just to sort of teach you how we look at these schedules. Again, in the center, when we've got something in the center that says less annual revenue, all we're saying is, if we can find $100,000 of revenue and buy that debt payment down, that payment, and fund 200,000, 250,000, you can see that impact is here. So again, I think we want to talk a little bit about the next in Highway 20 project. So our goal would be that the city would probably move forward with Cap Drive in the next 12 months. So that in the next 8 to 10 years, you could be looking at, and we'll say 8 to 10 years good timing from the DOT, you could be looking at interchange project. It's probably gonna cost you somewhere between 8 and whatever dollars they think your share should be, and what your share should be, or what you think you can afford your share to be, things like that. So with that being said, I've given you a 15-year debt schedule. I would love to see you finance this over 12 or 13 years if possible. And the reason for that is that each 10 years you can be bringing on another $8 million. And that is the second tax rate that didn't set 2025. Because really what we're showing you here is in those first few years, if you use the 15-year debt schedule, those first few years of that interchange, likely we have to just back into your principal a little bit. We have to backload it. In those first few years, and then backload it. So, again, I'm saying if we can find it, years this project, that would be, again, that will be part of what we look at from a perspective. We don't have enough details yet to just portion share them down. That's all going to come together over the next months. Let us dig into that. See, we're going to move forward. Everything kind of lines up and applications that we got for the water, sewer, forest, and finance together in a geo format as well. So even if we had water and sewer portions of this project, we don't have to pay them with water and sewer fund. They could be paid with a debt service levy. We just then have to use a geo. As this lower interest rate, and so I would say there's probably portions that could be SRF, there's probably portions that are not SRF. Again, we're looking at $2 a month. A whole lot of information, but I mean, ultimately, it really equates to the kind of the same thing as, yeah, without using any other food source, you're kind of looking at the same amount over the next 25 years, because these are two projects that probably similarly might be sized. We don't know that for sure, but again, part of what we need is, I think Marcy's and DOT is saying, well, what can you afford? And we want to make sure that we're being logical. If you want that interchange faster, you can afford this, and you're probably going to resist a lot. So you gain debt by getting off debt. So just remember that valuation. Capacity and getting back debt means you debt. So every time there's a new business, and that will augment that. Will also be paying that debt. So I think when you get to the Highway 20 interchange project, then you're probably back up in a range of about 15 million absolutely. Even if you still have 2 or 3 million of debt still outstanding on capital, I think that you're still in that range because you will have in value. And we paid off some other geo debt.
The longer we stretch out Camp Drive, the more it impacts our ability to get into the DOT park.
Oh, right. If we were to speak straight, wouldn't get into the DOT loan, right? Because our goal would be that we're folding new debt in around. Problem here is that 2021A is the 2023. And they're out there until 2036 and 2037. So as those are growing, great, that might fit well with the DOT, but we still also want this street. There's another street. Really not to this stuff. That's what's being engineered today. But there's something we can do 2 million square. So there's other things that are gonna be happening, or that you're gonna overcome. It's hard to be aggressive, I don't think, but it is something that we should discuss and consider as we try to wrap together. That's a whole lot of, I apologize, but.
Very good.
That's are very easy to read. The one difference on this 2035 schedule, as you can see, is this, like blue gray line is blue writing it. That is the existing debt of Cap Drive, because now we've got to go to account for, Cap Drive still at CNA for 5 years, right? We're going 10 years out. We've got that still outstanding for 5 years that we've got to make debt service. If we bring on this new debt, and if we use money here, then that's where we end up. So. We also, one quick note, we can work with you, Mark and I talked about this at the end of our meeting today. As this progresses forward, just so you know, when you start the budget for fiscal year 28, we can do, public hearings on capital. Public hearings are only public hearings. You can never borrow the net money. Do that, really hold it to any public hearing, but we can do public hearings in the early months of January. You can put the Cap Drive project in your budget for debt levy at whatever you all kind of determined by next, let's say January, February, and not have to issue that debt till probably summer or fall at the latest. So that just, it's called a pre-levy, meaning you're levying ahead for projects you're going to move forward on and borrow, but you can put it in your budget because all that means don't put it in your budget for repayment. It delays your interest on repayment at first, you don't know which one. Work it all that. So we can work with you guys and really on anything that most cities, their budgets. The number would be due to the county deadline, that early March deadline. But again, we have cities that are issuing debt. For example, they're pre-levy. So again, we have the levies all set in place and ready to go with debt issue. Any other questions? A whole lot.
Yeah, we asked for it to review, how do we approach these 2 big projects? And are they, fiscally able as a city to take them on? What I see is that, yes, they are. They're both absolutely necessary. But they're doable. When we talk about projects and we talk about even $15 to $20 million, it's like, oh, I don't know, how do we do that? Well, they're not happening at the exact same time. So this demonstrates how we can forecast and be ready to take it on, to get both projects done. Not in what we consider maybe a quarter, but within the next 15 to 20 years. Who knows what other big projects are coming along, but these are the 2 sitting in front of us.
I also remind you that as your valuation grows in your city, the valuation against your debt service levy grows as well, which means these are our projections today. We're growing you 1% every other year. But we can't show one for the purposes of tax impacts on law. But we would assume you're growing faster than that. And so that means for time, what you're seeing today might not actually be the number it makes lower. That's just because, again, as you grow, that spreads that not in across more residents, across more businesses. So that's important. I will say, it was a delightful conversation. I think after I was probably all GO, having a conversation. For stormwater. Today, I feel like, I think with that funding, we got a lot. That we can look
I do have one more technical question, make sure I read the schedules right. So in the period of time where a general obligation on cap drive could overlap with the DOT project, hypothetically, those estimated tax rates per thousand would be an additive. So we'd have like 260 on cap drive, and we'd have 334 for that period of 6 years, we'd be around 6 months.
Well, no, because it's already added in here, sorry, no.
Okay.
So it's already added in here, so the green,
334.
it's the 334 is the cumulative.
Thank you.
So I've added in that kind of like that grayish purple in the center with the blue. That is the levy amounts for 2027. So that's assuming that you're, using a debt service levy still in 2027 net. Now this total debt number, then we minus off 250 in revenue, and I'll give you a little insight into why 250. But we have an estimated debt service revenue, so cumulative amount in that. Yeah, I'm interested. So just another thing, your local option sales tax is at 1%. Part of the changes to legislative law, or 1 cent, I should say. Part of the changes to legislative law, because again, your powers for property tax increase is that they are going to start allowing cities to vote in an increase up to 1.5% in local option sales tax. I have not worked with any city government when that bill passed. I don't even think that it will do that until the end of the calendar year. I anticipate cities will move forward, and over the next 2 to 3 years, I anticipate. That's why I'm using $250,000 of pay down in my projection on the DOT project. It would be my assumption that if all the cities in the state of Iowa start voting in 1.5 cents versus 1 cent, you likely will join that. That is because you want the people paying the 1.5 cents in your community if there are Tigersville or other surrounding communities. And that just produces more money for you, right? So I would just assume that, you could say, well, it's a project and we're gonna stop doing it. So just something, again, we have no insight yet on anybody who's doing it, but I can guarantee you it got in the bill for a reason. Or we're gonna try to go ahead.
Do you recall, does anybody know from the legislation, is it a 60% vote threshold for local option sales?
No, sales tax is 50% plus 1.
50
50%
plus 1.
Okay. Yeah, it has to be 50% plus 1, they say. So, yeah, local option says that the only 60% supervision rate is still GL referendum. These are not central or you will have the power. Great, thanks for having me out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hearing on vacation and transfer of CEOs. So, that's my, before, I'll need a motion to open public hearing. I'll make a motion to open public hearing, vacate, transfer of CEOs.
Second.
Then I.
Brian, I.
John.
Yeah.
Here. We went to, like, the Grove Street Council about. All people online, who's online. Public hearing. Oh, sorry.
Then I. Brian, I.
John.
John, I.
Motion carries. Next up, resolution setting salaries and wages for appointed officers and employees of the city council fiscal year 27.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution setting salaries and wages for appointed officers and employees of the city of Peosta for fiscal year 27.
I'll second. John,
Then I, Brian,
John. Motion carries. Next up, resolution setting wages for part-time, seasonal, and temporary employees of the city of Peosta fiscal year 27.
my only question on this, we probably talked about it in the prior meeting, but what did we use as a wage escalator in this, like 3-4% in the budget?
Yeah, I used, I think, 4%.
4%.
That's what I thought. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution setting wages for part-time, seasonal, and temporary employees of the city of Peosta for fiscal year 2027.
I'll second.
John,
Then I, Brian,
motion carries. Next up, resolution adopting the amended purchasing policy for the city of Peosta. And we went over this in the work session. There were a couple of, items that we could on that stuff, work most of that. This is that policy.
good job by staff on cleanup.
So, make a motion to adopt city of Peosta purchasing policy. John,
Then I, Brian,
Done. Here. Next up, resolution adopting policy on filling open positions and board member seats. The staff did a great job working on this. We had basically zero policy or zero procedure. And now we have policy and procedure. This is going to be this, we'll do this in the work session. And then, it's great job to be together.
is it just our assumption that as we implement this, that staff will be screening if it's residents inside the city limit versus a resident outside the city limit? We'll be taking that into account when you make a recommendation. Yes, to us. Okay.
On the application.
Yeah, it's on the application. It's not in our kind of a written guide, but we talked about that.
Well, we talked about the chapter 39 earlier and what that meant.
It's nice.
It means that members of the council sort of also.
Part of it.
That's the main power.
I just included the entire code. so-
No, it's great.
Brian,
There's no doubt. We'll read it.
I will need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy on election of board member seats.
I'll second.
John,
Then I, Brian,
motion carries. Next up, we have a resolution approving plat survey of lot 1, that's 144, and lot 2, for Under Valley Estates number 4, to be adopted in Dade County, Iowa. And I believe this request was the ability to do townhomes instead of a single line. And we've done that yet for 2 different lots in the past for plotting and go construction. Forward, pretty straightforward.
Approve lot survey lots 144, lot 2, 144, West Valley.
I'll say it. Yeah,
then I, Brian,
and strangely enough, that state resolution approving plat of survey of lot 145. Lot 2, 145, Under Valley Estates number 4, in Peosta. Same exact situation.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution plat of survey lot 1-145 and lot 2-145 Thunder Valley Estates number 4, city of Peosta. I'll second. Then I, Brian,
Motion carries. Next up, approving change order number 1 submitted by the Transport Station Improvement Project Ben shared with us the reason for that, $0 change. Just that they cleaned up the actual bid.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number one submitted by B and K Pat Court Lift Station.
I'll second.
John, aye.
Ben, I.
John. Motion carried. Adopt resolution approving the rezoning of lot one, Thunder Valley Place, parcel number 141-0 from agricultural O1 to residential R2. This is for Russell.
These hearings were done in 2022.
Yes.
We got legal advice that is, it's fine for us to actually rezone, because
Yes.
we already acted on it.
Watching.
I will abstain from the vote because of my role as Russell.
Make motion to approve, lot one, Thunder Valley Place, parcel number 141-0 7. I'll say. Got mine.
Then I, Brian abstained.
John. Motion carries. Next item up on the agenda is citizen comments that is not on the agenda. I will, just a couple of comments before we get started on that. In regards to, our intention of, coming up with an ordinance, for data centers. I just want to make it clear that we had got a very informal question of whether data centers were allowed in Peosta. So there was, an answer that there's nothing right now, which is why we move forward with starting to have these discussions. Get the information that we do get out, if and when we can get out, with a formal request, so we know. So I wanted to let that know. If you're coming up to discuss that item, I do ask that you try and limit, trying to get information on, that we try and limit around freelance. And I do ask if somebody took your thing, that's fine. What I prefer is not to have everybody come up and say, I don't want this, or I want this because of this or that. If you have something different, we're open to all those ideas, that we get all the information. But I don't want the same 10 things, the same thing said by 10 different. It just, we already have it, or we have it, so that it is another one. When you do come out, please give your name and your address. We do that to be recorded. Yeah, during the city limits, yeah. I mean, I guess there was some feeling that we weren't being transparent about it. And that's not that's not our goal, that's not what we're just saying, hey, this is a hot topic. We, like probably every city in the county, every county in the state, every state in the union. You go online tonight, you've only been focusing on what's happening here. I ask you to just look in California, in Florida. Every state is having this, as far as whether it's right, wrong, or different. Some communities are very successful with what they have, and some communities are not. So we plan to, there's no rush on our part to get this done this week, next week, 2 months. There's not a timeline on it. So we haven't set a moratorium. I know that's been asked or proposed, that we should. At this point, because there's no formal need to get a policy in place, we can take our time without a moratorium. To me, a moratorium means, we're gonna try and work on this for a year, but if we're ready in 6 months, you can say, okay, the moratorium's off. So I would rather just leave it open-ended rather than,
hey, we've got a 1 year moratorium, then we go, okay, we've got 1 year to figure this out. We don't have to figure it out in any time frame, without a moratorium. It doesn't mean that we're not working on it, it doesn't mean that, data centers gonna come walking in, it's just gonna start going up without anybody knowing. We are definitely gonna look for input, I don't know what that looks like yet, whether that's, more meetings, obviously we want, but whether that's part of our regular meetings, whether it's part of our work sessions, whether we have an additional meeting, is similar to town hall. I don't know yet. That's how early. So I think I've said enough. I'd be open now for citizen comment, anything outside of the agenda, somebody to question.
Question for it. My city states, yeah, but it hurts. Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, we're allowing everyone's allowed to speak. How it plays to affects the city or people who live within the city limits. I mean, it's just kind of a delineation, but we understand that people in Burns, people in Thunder Ridge and Thunder Hills, you consider yourself, yeah.
My address says yes.
Right. Yeah, well, we're stuck with, we govern the city limits. But we're welcome, yeah, you're welcome.
I'm Rosie on 6415 Old Hollow Road. And
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, Devon Realty, DWRN, WLTY, 16435 Old Hollow Road, Peosta, Iowa. Not the city limits, but a data center travels far past city limits. The noise from them can be heard more than 10 miles away, and the dust pollution and everything else that goes with this. So I respectfully ask this board to impose a moratorium of at least 12 months. Just a pause, would give the community time to review the facts and develop an ordinance with safeguards, protect our quality of life, our health, environment, and water from potential impacts such as dust, noise, and other pollutants that these data centers create. I also ask the council be fully transparent about this process. Which companies or data center developers have you met with? And how many times? Residents deserve to know what information the board has because these decisions affect our families, our home values, our community investments. We want to know that you all know. If necessary, I ask that you schedule a special meeting tonight to approve a moratorium of at least 12 months, or maybe even a total ban. During that time, the council should gather public feedback, define clear deliverables and actions, and allow sufficient time to adopt a strong ordinance. This moratorium should include at least 4 town hall meetings with the data center representatives who have contacted you and concerned residents from any area that may be affected by this industry coming to our great city of Peosta. Tonight, we need just one council member from you to make this motion and have it seconded to impose this moratorium so we can pause, review all the facts, and ensure residents have a meaningful voice in this process. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you a question? I got a quick question.
Sure.
2 things. You said that, when I'm learning, we're investigating, we're trying to figure this out, is that you said that the noise can travel for 10 miles and the dust can as well?
The dust can too, depending on the list. Have you seen the
Okay.
list?
Where did you get that information? Where can I look that up?
Online, you can look it up online.
Specifically?
It's, where did you get that information? Information's everywhere out there. I don't have that information with me tonight.
Somewhere.
Well, I think you've seen it. If you're on Facebook, you know that these happened, all over. I do have a friend, Alona, who, has a girlfriend that lives in, I think it's Altoona, Illinois. They have to wear earphones at night because of
Is there
the
someone that I can look
noise.
that up?
I think she will be here at the next meeting.
Great.
I was
I'm
thinking she would be here tonight, but if you would like to do a work session, I'm sure she would be glad to join you. Otherwise, there's a meeting tomorrow night at Happy's that you can probably join and find out.
First, I'm leaving them on top.
Okay. I've got a family wedding in San Diego this week, so I'm maybe we should.
I think my comment would be, we will welcome any sources. So there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, and my guess is one data center might be different from another one. So as we study it, I mean, you can share it with Josh, you can share it with anybody on the council, but we're going to start the process of gathering information. So more than just statements, we need sources, so because the intent, well, and the sources where you get 10 miles of, dust and noise and.
You asked the same thing of us. You asked us.
We will ask those questions.
Well, we want to know exactly what you know. You're the one that's been speaking with these developers. You're the one that's answered the calls when they knock on your door. So we want to know what you talk to them about and what is going on. We deserve that information. We are affected by data centers.
We talked to a developer, asked us, listened. That's as far as it went. We decided we needed to start working on them.
And
There's nothing else. There's nothing nefarious. This isn't, we all live in the city of Peosta. So we actually, whether anyone believes it or not, have the best interest of the city of Peosta.
I think every resident within an earshot of here has best interest of Peosta. We all come and visit these restaurants, come and stop at the gas stations. We are here all the time. It's not that we live out in the country here and we don't come this way.
That wasn't.
My address is Peosta.
But that wasn't the request. The request was if you bring information that there is a source for it. It isn't just go look it up on the internet. That if you came to me and I said, this is what happens when a data center comes to town, and I just say it, and I said, I looked it up on the internet, are you gonna believe me? The look on your face, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna play this straight, and the look on your face, there's not a damn thing I can say right now that you would even think would be remotely true.
Well, try me. What do you got
I
that's,
don't-
what do you got that's positive for a data center?
I don't right now. We're not,
But you know what, you guys.
Should I finish?
Sure.
we're not there yet. We sent city staff
To start.
direction to do some research. Okay, I'm not gonna make a decision on my aunt from someplace else told me this, and then make a decision on it. I want pure facts. We need to find out the fact or what's fiction. There's a lot of fiction and there's some fact. But we need to go through and sit through that. We're making the decision. This is what we were elected to make the decision. I understand your passion. There's a lot of passion in this room. When I first heard the phrase status, what did I say? That's icky. You felt icky. I felt icky. I still feel icky. But with the opportunity that is in front of us, financially, potentially, it would be derelict of our duty not to investigate. Oh, excuse me, sir. When she's done, and you want to approach it, and we would be derelict of our duty not to. That is all we're doing.
Data center.
No, I'm not. What I said, I told you.
Financially, it would be derelict of your duty not.
To research. You need to listen to the words that come out of my mouth.
I think he's saying,
Okay.
we're elected to do due diligence.
I do.
You spun my words.
Everything needs to be
So-
researched.
I think you guys are being a little naive as a here on how fast these data centers move. You don't even have a definition of a data center in your.
That's what we're doing. That's the research we're doing.
Because we don't want to get caught in something that moves fast.
In a warehouse,
Where?
anywhere, they can sit in a warehouse.
Piasta doesn't have any ground, they don't have enough ground in Piasta to have a whole data center. So if there's any data center going in, it's gonna be in the county. Piasta doesn't.
The industrial park.
Oh, Piasta.
It's in the county.
It's in the county.
That's the county one. So it's not incorporated, you're not annexing it.
Nope.
Once the city contacted you for that,
That's the city, not the city.
to annex that.
No. No, that's not.
So there's like assumptions underlying some of
Well,
the
see-
comments that we have a whole bunch of information. And I'm telling you, we don't have a whole bunch of information. The reason we're starting the process is so we can learn for ourselves. And you make comments and the citizens deserve guardrails. We agree. That's why we started a process to research and start to build an ordinance, so we can build guardrails and protect Peosta and do what's right for Peosta. The only other thing I'm gonna say, we will not do anything without transparency and citizen input. So when there's more stuff and there's things to talk about, we'll be looking at ways to convene people to talk about that. Now, you can either believe that or not believe that.
I
But
believe
you
that,
have
but
my
I don't believe
personal
it's
assurance.
Transparency. I don't believe you're gonna say, well, you know, Amazon contacted us to ask for whatever it is that was gonna happen. Knocked on my door and we had a meeting. I mean, we need to know who's involved in this. We need to know who is trying to infiltrate this city. It does make a difference how big it is.
So any of the 9 or 10 or 11, however many, or Google, like, so it makes a difference if it's Google versus Microsoft? I mean,
Sometimes it does on how they do business. PTS, I forget the name of it, down in Cedar Rapids, had how many, 40 extra wells that were not documented? We have aquifers, we have wells. Even if it's in the city, we draw from that same aquifer that they draw from. That would be the Jordan aquifer.
that's where, these are the things that we have to look at.
I think
That's
that
what we're saying.
I can't believe that you guys are dragging your feet up. This is very important.
we've been aware of this for 4 days.
Just because we don't have a moratorium doesn't mean we're dragging feet.
We're not doing what you say, so you say we're dragging our feet.
Well, why not town hall meetings so that you can understand it?
Your assumption is there's a whole bunch of information to talk about, there's not, because
We made a determination
last gathering
last week.
information, started to research the issue for ourselves. So we're not at the beck and call of some company coming to us and telling us what they're gonna do. We need to know what the parameters and things would be, what we'd even consider. We could get to the end of this process and say, not for us. But we're elected to do due diligence for the citizens of Peosta, and that means investigating all sides of the thing, and we're trying to be proactive about it. And we will be transparent about it.
How many people have knocked on your doors? How many people have asked?
I told you at the beginning before I started this, that
Not a company, a potential developer.
potential developer asked for
Not an inquiry.
Yes.
So that's it.
Okay,
Well,
I looked at that. I believe,
See, that's
not all of us, but
so I can tell you.
I think I will.
Thanks for close game. Anyway, thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. My name is B. Corrine Lorraine, 4563 Peosta, Iowa, 52066. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off of what she said, but I do have my own statement here, so. I am respectfully, first of all, good evening, council members. I am respectfully stepping forward this evening to request that this council make a motion to and pass at a minimum of 12-month moratorium on the subject of data centers within the city of Peosta, to include a moratorium on any zoning changes that would allow for data center build before we, the people and citizens, have all the facts about what that build would look like and the overall impacts on us, our community, our environment, and more. Additionally, I'm requesting that this council make a separate motion to and pass at a minimum a 12-month moratorium on the ITC ordinance that was listed on the working meeting agenda on 6/2/2026, the same evening as the City of Peosta data center ordinance subject of hearing. I know personally, I have a lot of questions that I would like answered about the 25-year ordinance and its effects on the city and community, but especially interested in the subject of eminent domain. Does the eminent domain statement cover the entire city? Question mark. We the people really deserve answers for questions such as if the center came in, what would they use for a water source? If they require a water source, from which source would they obtain that water from? And what degree of impact would that have on our community, both financially and health-wise? Y'all are probably aware that our entire planet contains approximately 3% fresh water, right? You're all also probably aware that our bodies are made up of 60% water, right? Y'all are also aware that our brains are made up of 73 to 75% water, right? You're all also aware that the average human can only survive 3 days without water, right? Y'all do at least understand that water really is life, right? Like we need water, and it's important for us to have, and it's important for us to have rules in place to protect our water sources in regards to these data center conversations. Additional subjects that go along with this are chronic noise pollution, EMF and radio frequency pollution, air quality degradation, global climate impacts, power grid concerns, possible property evaluations, and more. We should all be able to agree this evening that there are just simply too many unknowns about the overall impact these data centers will have on all of us, both from a present and future stance. Also from a financial and health related impact, to include our natural God-given inalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and privacy. We deserve and demand full transparency when it comes to all the things surrounding the data center conversations here in our community, and are calling on you tonight to make the only right decision, which is to motion for and approve the requested moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any question? Well, go ahead.
I agree with probably 85%. So I just want to let you know there. Question I have is when you referred to ITC ordinance, what you?
So your Tuesday night working meeting, there was a ITC franchise ordinance listed on there with a hyperlink to a whole bunch of writing as to the 25-year agreement that the city of Peosta was looking to make with them. I actually have a copy of it.
Just letting those.
Is that
Right, so they submitted it to us, and then we had our legal counsel review it. Now it's back in their hands to have the things that we wanted changed reviewed. And Nicole from ITC did say that if we wanted her to come out and attend the meeting to answer any questions for anyone, that she'd be more than happy to.
Ask for them to run the fire review.
I believe it's, yeah, I don't have a.
So ITC Midwest LCC is the company supplying all the power lines to the centers down in Cedar Rapids. They're a parent company of ITC Holdings.
Right.
So they're helping running the power to those data centers down in Cedar Rapids. So the assumption can be made as a public citizen, they're looking to run power, more power to the city of Peosta, which I have an additional question. Why do we need more power? My understanding is we have a 69,000 volt running into town. I did hear somebody mention earlier there was a transformer outage blew out. But as an MVEC customer who works from home every day, 5 days a week, power and internet have not been a problem for me. So I'm curious, as a public citizen, why the push for a sudden increase in the power in the city of Peosta?
Right, so I can only speak when we didn't have a city administrator at the time, so they reached out to us and that's why we had our legal counsel review it, but they didn't say anything about that. Basically what they were coming and approaching us about was, hey, we have assets already here and we want to work something out so we can work together and,
Thanks for raising.
be able to access them. That was a great question.
We'll look into that from an intent standpoint, but it's not unusual for us to grant, utility easements and access to our utility easements for different utility customers. So we can ask
Sure.
what the intent and behind that request is.
Good question.
I appreciate that because it does very specifically say in the very first paragraph of this ordinance, the very last line, for the period of 25 years and granting the right of eminent domain.
Okay.
And so obviously the large question here is, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean they get eminent domain over the entire city of Peosta? Is it a corridor of Peosta? What businesses potentially could be, put in the lurch of a decision such as that?
Well, here's the nice thing. We haven't approved that agreement yet. We sent comments back and we can ask a lot more questions.
Yeah, and I, again, just bringing that forward, that was recognized from your working meeting. Since I'm here in the conversation with Devin, so you guys are asking for references, right? So we all have smartphones. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do the homework, but we all have smartphones. We all have the ability to go on the internet and just say, hey, what's going on with data center? Funny enough, Copilot will answer for me in Google And we'll come up with a slew of, not nice things about data centers. I mean, I prefer not to use AI. As you can see, paper and pen, that's me, I'm a Gen Xer. I wanna try to stay that way. Um, with that being said, 'cause I'm asking specifically for references. So what I'm going to ask is, websites engine.com, .edu, .org. Is there opposition to whatever people send you for? I mean, there's all kinds of stories all over the country of water, brown water and reports of, electricity bills going up and all of these things. Is there a no-go as far as the information that you folks would like people to supply to you?
I think the only thing that I would look at is how much of that information is based on data centers that were built 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Are those still relevant to how data centers are being built today? That's what I'm focusing on in my research, is looking at what's being done today. Because these people know the big three: noise, water, energy. Those are the three huge. There's others.
Right.
It goes on for.
Those are the biggest three.
But those are the biggest three. So I guess my question would be, is there a way that those three can be answered that makes sense for the city of Piasta? That's a question right now.
Answer maybe no.
Right. But do you see but if you bring me statistics that are from data center that was built in Raleigh, North Carolina in 2002, and it doesn't have any noise reduction. It draws water from their reservoir just directly in, it continually just draws water, and draws energy from the local grid. And when they are using too much power, nobody else has any. But if that's not how, it's not relevant. Because there are closed loop systems in the water. There are a myriad of things being done. So the way I look at it is I want the best information that is correct. And again, and so sources are great, but I don't, like I said, I think a source that is, I saw this on Facebook, without any fact checking. I know we like that, so I don't know if we still say that. Without any fact checking, it really isn't a relevant source. Where it's a relevant source, and it can be, fact checked and say, yep, that's still happening. And that was built 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know how far back is a relevant term, but I know data centers are being built differently than they were 15 or 20 years ago.
But they're also gonna, another side of the fence too, that those data centers that were built 15, 20 years ago, we could probably gain some knowledge of what effects it's had with the environment.
Correct. Absolutely. That's a great point. Great point.
That's where it's at, right? Is we're trying to dig into this, and there's so many different ways to look at this. Yes. On the internet, these are the ones you get, right? These are not great. But how much is that? I mean, kind of like this a little bit to when COVID first came, right? You Google it to try to figure out, okay, is this really as serious as bad as it is? Well, you look at one article, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. You look at another article, and it's just not that bad. It's cold, right? That's what we saw. And I didn't see necessarily the part of it necessarily when I Google these things, but I'm sure there's some stuff out there. The thing about it is these things they're not going to work. Do I want them? Do I want one in my backyard? I don't know yet.
They're going to continue to build them because the demand is still there.
Great to answer your direct question. I'm happy to try to read anything that anybody sends. I don't know if I'll be able to read everything that anybody sends me, but I will do my very best. Because I think that will help inform us to ask better questions. So when we do build an ordinance and guardrails, we're building a much better structured thing. So I'll do my best to read what people send.
Sure. One last statement. Ordinances create lasting rules, whereas moratoriums temporarily pause specific activities to allow for careful planning and regulatory development.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this, no one, I just want to say, even if we wanted to throw the idea of moratorium, because it wasn't on the agenda,
Could we?
could we? I don't believe we can. No.
I think you could make a motion to have a date next week for.
We start saying it again, sorry.
So I think you can make a motion to have reading next week for it. For a
We
special,
don't, we don't need a motion to have a meeting, we can schedule a
and
meeting.
schedule a meeting.
Yeah, but
Personally, I don't want, I mean, from research I've done, I don't want that. So
I'm not opposed to it.
No difference in us taking our time to research and come up with an ordinance that's meaningful with putting a moratorium in place to where nothing can grow, nothing can happen. I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. I think it's gonna give us accountability. It's gonna give us time to put a deliverable timeline in place. I think it's going to give citizens input, and opportunity to have input with us on what they want to see in an ordinance. I just think, I mean, we're in no hurry to allow or disallow a data center in Peosta or to annex and land in Peosta, don't allow or disallow. I'm not opposed to putting a moratorium in place for up to a year to give us the due diligence and time to do our research, give the public an opportunity to come speak to us, set times when they're gonna be allowed to come speak to us. That's all I feel.
I myself would not be opposed to a moratorium. I don't know sickness, you know, if I want to go over here. That might put a,
Even 6 months.
I was just gonna say, that might put, we go into 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
It gives us the. See, you're out, we got your work.
Yeah.
We got 6 months, we gotta cut it off, it's. These ordinances, what I don't take, or they take 19. We can 6 months from now, we'll get
We can't hear anybody. Our screen froze.
I'm not. Politics. I have never attended meetings like this. But I have 12 grandbabies that will be affected in this absolute area if something like this happens. The county of Dubuque has decided on a 12-month moratorium for a reason. And I'm asking that the city of Peosta consider the same, whether it's put on for a vote next meeting, whatever that is. I think that it should be on the agenda and it should be voted on. And I think people should have input.
We'll put it on for consideration, that's not a problem.
I believe that the county would put a moratorium on because anybody can go to any farmer and purchase a farm and purchase another farm and then build it, because there's no regulations or codes.
There's,
They have to go through.
But that's what is for, to
Right.
make those regulations
Right.
and to get that input. So,
City property that somebody could come in, buy, and put it on.
county has, the data center needs an M2 zone. You have that right over here on Cat Drive where, I don't know, are you guys doing something else over there? I couldn't quite hear what she was saying up there, but I know there was a lot of
We're doing a sewer project
sewer project.
to increase the infrastructure
Okay,
for the industrial.
but all it takes is an M2 zone.
Right, there's no space back there.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yet?
Okay, it's the same.
What do you mean by yet?
Yeah, because there's farmland there that could be bought and then instead.
But we would have to tax it in first.
Right.
And there's a public process for that.
And we would have to make sure who was requesting the annexation and for what reason.
And that would all be a public process.
And that's not gonna happen in less than 12 months either.
So again, I think that the people that have spoken have asked for a moratorium. And you know, we're not experts in anything other than time.
And if we,
Time is everyone's benefit.
if we can work on it as long as we want, or as short as we want. If we put a moratorium in and we say it's 12 months, and we feel at 6 months,
Right.
we're ready, we're gonna stop the moratorium. We're gonna reduce it, we're gonna put language in there that we can close the moratorium if we feel we're at that point. So I'm just, it's potato right now, that's how
But I think as a citizen myself, I think it will calm people if they feel. that
Absolutely.
there's a timeframe and people are working at it and they're listening to us as
So,
citizens.
then let's play the devil's advocate on that. If in 6 months we decide to put one in, it's gotta fit into this hole, right? It's gotta be very tightly woven to fit into this spot for this ordinance, right? That's how we build ordinance. And then we open that up in 6 months. And I invite you, so you said they're gonna be 12 months. We're already saying that.
Well, however it works out, I do think, personally, I feel like it should come to a vote. I feel like it should be an agenda item at some point. And people should do the research, all of you, and decide if a moratorium is.
I think everybody hears me, their point very clear. I'm with Jeff here. I think more would be. Clicking on this.
Quick question.
You got it.
Marshall, no.
No,
First of all, the 520 Maple Ridge. John, you said there is no room in the city for one.
These large,
These
one
large
acre,
scale.
right.
Dubuque County has already, Dubuque County's already done this. In order for them to do it, city of Piazza would have to annex off Dubuque County to do it. Why do these people come to you to see if they can pull it in town here when they know we don't have no room? Dubuque County's already said no. So why are they coming to you? They know we don't have no room. They're hoping that Piazza will annex part of Dubuque County land to get it done.
Correct.
So somebody's being shady here.
Who's being shady?
Well, it's just, they're playing their game. They're coming to you to hopefully play the
We hold
game.
the cards.
Well,
Frank Lobo.
that's what I want. What you saying that we don't have no room.
That's why I want to get out there. You have no room for a facility like this.
I mean, there's some open pockets for, if they make smaller ones. I guess.
But if county already said, no, we're not doing this. Why are they coming to do that?
I'm sure they're coming to every small town here.
Because they're trying to get around.
Because
The county will not let them.
Because
I'm sure they're
they're,
talking to every community in the state.
they're so far behind on needing data centers. That's why it's all across the country. That's why you know about it, you know about it, you know about it. Because everybody knows that they're all over the place and everybody.
Right, but I'm just, they're just trying to be sneaky by coming to you guys to do this, hopefully that you would annex the Butte County property in so they can go in. That's what I think they're trying to do.
And they can't, we don't have to annex it in if they say we're bringing it in.
Saying that just being sneaky.
But this is why we wanted to do what we're doing. And it's not because we want to do it because we made any approvals, we've made any deals, despite everyone's thoughts. There's been no deals, there's been a request of whether we would be open to it. And we said, let us think about it, and and we said, let's come up with an ordinance so that we're ready for when somebody comes and says, formal request, we would like to purchase this property and be annexed in. So that's what we're doing, that's what we started working on, and everybody said, we're a bunch of liars. We're clowns, I did see that too, on the reliable Facebook, you know.
My wife calls me a clown all the time.
Yeah, I said there are people who are qualified to call me, and hey, you're lucky that. No. Yeah, no, it is truly we feel we're doing our due diligence.
Well, please listen to the people, the lifestyle of every person in town here. And what we brought to this town, right? And make the right decision.
Well, and I would point out what industry brought to this town too.
Yes.
I mean, this town doesn't exist without the businesses that are on the list.
Right.
So I'm just saying, I've seen that too. Well, why are we giving up our farmland for industry? You know, where's your house? It was on farmland.
Right.
Where's these industries? It was on farmland. So, I mean, I'm just stating this is how progress has happened throughout history in the United States. So, thank you.
What's your name again?
Bruce Hogan.
Thanks, Bruce. My only comment is, we all live in the city limits of Peosta too. We all care about Peosta as much as you. And the reason I make a comment, I don't know if we need a moratorium or not, is because it wouldn't change how I go about doing this process, which just means, you know, to give, like Deb said, give the public assurance.
Well,
It's like, we've given.
It's not a word, it's an action. It's an action. So that's something to be. It's an action word that needs to be put in place.
Well, my statement to the people that are here is that I wouldn't vote to do a project like this until we were ready as a community, regardless of how long that took, with or without a moratorium. So I think that.
Yes.
Thanks, Bruce.
How do you deny an application if they put one in?
I was gonna say it'd be great, we need probably staff to bring back our zoning ordinances or relates to our industrial areas, so we can stare at what's in there. And I know that it's sitting with legal counsel for all the other changes and things we've made to it over the last 2 years. We really need to get that in and through our process. And we need to study what's in the industrial already.
And I
in
would
addition to our
maybe, I would
process.
maybe say get our council's opinion on
Because
where it stands today, if someone was to move
Yeah.
today.
I would want to know based on what M2 says today, if we got a request, can we deny that request if it fits within the zoning requirement? Because that would be my intention. That's what I would want to do until we're ready.
And if not, what do we need to do to make a change to that zoning?
Right, so we can deny or make them situational or whatever it might be.
Okay, so we can get that put together.
Thanks, Josh.
So are you setting a meeting for next week on discussion for a moratorium, put it on the agenda?
It doesn't, I mean.
We have a meeting in 2 weeks.
We can set it on our
We can
agenda
regular
for 2 weeks. There's nothing that's gonna change in 1 week or two. So we'll have it as an agenda item
Regular business.
on the 23rd.
You're gonna need a bigger facility.
We have one if we need.
You're gonna need a big one.
I thought we were gonna need a bigger one tonight.
Okay.
I'm disappointed.
So I think it was because of the comment that it wasn't on the agenda.
So what is it?
I comment on
I
there.
did. It wasn't on our agenda tonight, but I said you're invited to make citizen comments at every one of our
This
regular
time,
meetings.
like you guys all just did.
People can comment on anything that's not on the agenda, which you have just done.
So you guys passed,
So,
so. Anyone else? I think we lost our Zoom, so.
well, there you go, being not transparent.
Yeah. Apologize to the people who are on Zoom. There was 3 or 4. I mean, there wasn't a lot, but, yeah, well, how long did Marcy?
Once I get the video uploaded to the
So-
website, yes. Yeah, except for the piece where, you know, it died, then that's not gonna be there. But yes, I usually have it up the day after the meeting, depends how.
The last word.
Quick question, are you guys aware of the Iowa State process around the data centers? Like, you guys can look at that yet?
Oh,
So.
We assigned this to staff on Friday to start researching.
Right.
4 days ago.
All right, I'll be shooting some things over to you guys. I think you'll find.
Perfect.
And you will know, because the only time this council can talk to each other is in a public meeting. So we're not allowed by law for more than 2 of us to congregate anywhere outside of here together, for more than 2 of us. There's a public meetings law. Everything that we talk about is public. Everything, when we talk as a council together, so.
All right, I will be shooting some links.
All right.
I'll make a motion.
Right on,
True.
John.
No, I.
You want to adjourn?
Anybody need an email?
Yeah.
One or two ways.
It's on.
Yeah, they're online, you know, so we have.
That's close.
I. That is.
There, I'm seeing your review over info at city dot, okay. We're gonna computer out and most of them. Okay. Out to everyone.
Otherwise,
Thank you.
so our stable. Be shot. Crap. Here, yeah, so can we want to do that? So whether you run them. See one. Yeah. That looks like we didn't ever. He said.
Like the last one. I appreciate this. I tell you, when you said, I'm like, oh, wait, what's this? So yeah, then it means it was. To the city of.
Okay, so you were somebody from your.
Yes.
I have seen. That is correct.
Right.
Three Cardinal. Cardinal. Okay. Wow.
Thanks. Better than mine.
We're, fun technology.